Hello guys! As you might have noticed, one of our favorite topics on the channel and in the international media in general is the state of Russia's economy. And all because in the 21st century war, to defeat the Kremlin, you don't need to surround it with tanks. It's enough to destroy Putin's war budget. And the situation looks very promising right now. But to understand the state and problems of the Russia's economy better, I've decided to invite for a conversation a person whose articles I always read before preparing my vlogs on Russia's economy, a PhD in economy from National Economy Development Institute, Volodymyr Vlasiuk. Welcome to the channel.
Nice to meet you and to have the possibility to communicate with your audience. Thank you, Anna. I'm here.
Thank you so much. And my very first question is about the state of Russia's economy in general. Literally every day we get some updates from inside Russia and they have more and more problems. Recession, inflation, ruble constantly loses its power and value so that my subscribers often name it ruble. And it seems like one crisis triggers another. Is there anything special about the economic problems for any country that they have this snowball effect, what we observe in Russia right now?
This snowball with the troubles in Russian economy, which you have mentioned just now, we should look for this because, of course, the latest 2 months we can observe the deterioration of a number of statistics of the Russian economy. But we should look further what will happen in nearest maybe 2-3 months in order to make some conclusion, snowball or not snowball. But we can be sure that Russia economy is faced with really big and serious troubles, problems, and so on. And this was a result. And expectedly, this was a result of 2 factors. First, this is Ukrainian resistance. So 4 years of the war. Hardly Russia and Putin has expected such long period of this special operation, so-called. And the second one, this is international sanction. These 2 factors play a very important role and impact a lot of the Russian economy. Then I can speak about some main track in Russian economy. Every economy of every country is different, but there is the same approach can be applied to the different economy. Economy, this is a balance between revenue or earning and spending. So like in the household, in micro level, so the same is in the economy on the macro level. You should spend if you have earned and you have revenue for this money. And in this respect, Russia has found itself in a quite different position after the starting of full-scale invasion and full-scale war against Ukraine. Because starting from this time, namely 2022, February, the expenditure for the military spending has risen sharply. For example, if it was roughly 7 trillion rubles in 2021, in this year we will have more than 19 or almost 20 trillion rubles. So this is almost 3 times. And another factor was the sanction, which has deteriorated and diminished the export of the Russia, and also this spending of for the war has exhausted so-called the Fund of National Prosperity. And we have a favorable combination of these 3 factors, because there is 2 main sources which finance the war. Of course, the war is financed through the budget, but back the budget we have had in former times the Fund of Prosperity, which as for me was specially reserved to finance the war, and the revenue from the export, and namely export of oil and oil products. And now it's 2 figures. If the amount of Fund of Prosperity for the starting of 2022 was about $145 billion, now we have in this fund only up to about $42 billion. And there is no dollars in this fund. The sum is only nominated in dollars, but really it's Chinese yuan and gold, but gold is under sanction. You cannot use this as some active, some liquidity in international operation, except of maybe some physical change between Russia and Iran, something like this. And this fund was exhausted during the 4 years of the war. So we can compare this to Fiji, 145 and 42 now. And the second one, this is the revenue from the export. For example, the maximal revenue from the export of oil products was in 2022 years. It was roughly $230 billion was the earning of Russia economy. This year we expect what 160. Of course, this is a big money, but this $70 billion less. And this is very substantial for the Russia economy. That's why we have combination of three factors. The diminishing earning from the export due to sanction and due to decrease of the price. We can observe now. For example, the price for Russian Urals is about 11% less than Brent, and now the price for Urals is about $52, $53. And exhausted reserve fund. For example, if you will have in your household, for example, some money in reservation, you can spend when you buy car or some another goods. But now this reserve of money is exhausted, and rising expenses for the continuing of this war. And this very unfavorable combination of the factor which had impacted a lot of Russia economy.
Thank you so much for providing these beautiful examples. And I believe sums of money that Russia keeps losing on the war demonstrated really well. And I believe this snowball of problems can actually turn into a real avalanche for the Kremlin. Let's hope for that. And the next question is, inspired by the viewers, because often when they watch Russian economists speaking, the representatives of the Ministry of Finance, of the banking sphere, they keep saying that everything is okay. They demonstrate some fake numbers. So a person that doesn't know much about traditional Russian lies may believe that everything is okay. And the question is, what are the signals or symptoms that actually demonstrate Russia's economy is struggling, so that an ordinary person watching the updates from inside Russia, let's say across the ocean, could identify these signs and predict the coming problems, bigger and bigger problems for the Russian economy?
Okay, we should select and separate, for example, social aspect and economical aspect, and also to put it together in order to understand the process. So in the war of attrition, which we do have now, which very long, 4 years, we don't know exactly what will be the next year. It's very important, as you have mentioned, not only to finance the military expenses, defense, security, and so on, but to keep some level of life standard in the population. Even in Russia, population have some level of standard of the life.
Yeah.
And now,
Even
now we have two groups of population. The minority first group, this so-called beneficiary of the war, it's about 20%. The dominating group, about 80%, that is not beneficiary of war. And if we'll look for this bigger part of population, we can say that really the revenue of these people has diminished up to 30% as comparing with the previous year of the war, with comparing with 2021, 30%. And now we can witness a lot of signs of this. For example, very few people, up to 11%, can have the possibility to save the money. They need to spend for the food, for the clothing, and they do not have the possibility to save some money for the future. Also, the number of products, for example, car buying in Russia, has diminished substantially. The building of new flat and new rooms and new residence for the people also has diminished Also, this is all the signs that living standards is been deteriorating now. But this group of people which are engaged in the war, so the people who sign the contract in order to get to the front line, or those workers who works in military production, they keep roughly the same level of life as every citizen of Russia in 2021 year. This is one science, social economical science of the situation. The second one is decrease and sharp decrease of the output in the industry, of different sectors of the industry. So if in 2024 we observed rising of production in this industry from 2 to 7%, this is light industry, clothing, food production, construction materials. Now in these years, we see the sharp dropping in production in this industry. And this is official statistic. I can give some statistic. For example, construction material minus up to 9%. For example, this is a sign of this very difficult situation and the obvious recession in Russian economy. What is more, this economy is not in recession, but in stagflation. It can be another passage of my speech.
Oh yes, thank you for this term stagflation, because actually we often come across it and it's pretty complex but describes the state of the Russian economy really well. And what I keep reminding people watching us is that the collapse of the USSR was also mainly fueled by the economic mismanagement, by constantly dropping oil prices, and literally the situation reminds the one they are in right now very well. And my next question will be from your personal perspective. What is the most important triggering factor for these problems? Is it Ukrainian drone sanctions, or Putin's economic mismanagement, or the economic sanctions, or most likely the combination of all of these factors? What do you think?
This is a combination of factors, of course, for sure. International sanction has its effect. I have illustrated this by statistics which I have been spoken before about this. But this is a long time. And now this trap is tighter and tighter. Actually, now Russian economy is in a trap condition. And I can, for example, personally, I cannot understand how they avoid this economy of very deep and serious recession now. And but this is the crucial role plays a combination of the factors. Sanction is the first, because it creates a barrier for the export of Russia. If in the before year, they can export a lot of gas, for example, to Europe. Europe is the richest market in the world, yes, and with a high price. And also they have export a lot of oil product. Now we can see the collapse of this trade, bilateral trade, Russia and European Union. But of course, a lot of product physically, China has started to buy. So China is the main partner, and India. But now Russia completely depends upon only one partner, China. And this is very hard dependence and not very pleasant, I am sure. Because I give you such example. Russia pay for this friendship. Really pay. I can illustrate. If in the previous time the discount for Russia oil Urals was about 3%, now they sell the oil to the China with a discount 11%. 11%, big discount. Also they sell the precious metals or, for example, nickel, aluminium, and titanium material with a discount also about 11%. So if you put together all this figure, Russia paid $10 billion for this friendship with China. Reality. The partnership with and prosperity and partnership with European Union was much more better, much more profitable for the Russia. So this is the illustration of some part of the sanction and international sanction. And another one, of course, the mistakes and in calculation and forecasting of the Russia economy behavior. Russia would like to use so-called Keynesian militarism. This is sort that when you spend a lot from the budget, you support purchasing capacity of the worker and some sector of industry which influence the economy and keep economy rising. But Russia import a lot. It's very important. Russia is very import dependent countries. This is empty story to speak about substitution of the import in the Russia. Substitution of the import. After withdrawing of foreign producers after the starting of the war, Russia cannot produce a lot of products. They usually speak that we will produce national products. They are not able to produce national products. Only the period in the history when some foreign company has come to the Russia and create joint venture gives the possibility and chance to produce domestically a lot of products. Now they import these products. And China refused to open manufacturing and processing plant in Russia. And this is the one important factors. So that's why this Keynesian and this war model of economy don't work, because a lot of money is being spent for the import.
Outside.
And management, of course, Russia has enjoyed the best practice of the Western mode and Western knowledge of ruling the company, because this company bring not only the production line, but also technology of management, technology of financing. Now there is not such cooperation. So, and also there are a lot of components technically which can be supplied technically domestically in Russia. For example, aircraft transport.
Aeroflot.
Aeroflot. Or for example, exploration of the oil and gas, because technology is mostly American. Yes. China cannot substitute now this technology even in Russia.
Destroyed refineries.
And this is a combination of the factors, which make cracking, small cracks, bigger cracks, and gradually it's bring the whole Russia economy to the point which we can observe now.
Thank you so much. And the next question is about these new sanctions imposed by the White House. We were waiting for them so much. They are targeting Russia's energy export and selling of drone components. But many people were still skeptical that the Kremlin will find the way to avoid these sanctions. And it seemed like that when Lukoil wanted to sell its assets to gun war. But then the White House said, no, we see it's tactics, you want to trick us, so we will not sign the license. And everything seems quite serious. So what do you think about these new sanctions? What can they bring us? Is it important?
Of course, this sanction will add very big and very good portion for the whole pressure for the Russia economy. Because it's the biggest company. So Russia have about 30 the biggest company from which depend Russia economy, and this is the company. Furthermore, moreover, this is the company which export oil and oil products now. So they impose the sanction for these two company and any affiliation company in the world with this company now. So that we can observe when Lukoil try to sell these assets for some another company. And it's newest information that some company American company refused to buy assets of the Lukoil after the pressure from United States. So United States makes step by step. It's good sign. This is not empty word. We can now see the clear situation that United States can be very consequent in this pressure. Of course, this company will continue to operate, for example, with China, with India. But in India, it's the biggest problem because India constantly look for the United States, because United States is much more bigger partner. And with China, United States is much more serious and bigger partners now. But this company now is very restricted in the financial operation. especially in the Western world and Europe and America. And we shall see the result of this sanction within the couple of weeks. This is for sure. If not for day, couple of weeks. Yes. So this very targeted, very point-oriented, effective-oriented sanction now. And of course, the United States has looked very clearly this vulnerability of Russian economy. This is namely export of oil and oil products. There is another sanction can be imposed for this fleet, so-called shadow fleet. And as I know, this sanction also is tightening because, for example, ecological reason. This is very old vessels. Yes, because half fleet is ownership of the Greek. Maybe they also very engaged, but now Greek are also looking for the stopping this process. And if Russia export of oil will diminish further, it will be a very serious challenge for Russian economy, and I don't know how they will stand with this challenge. So Americans know what they are doing now.
Thank you. And I was actually very pleasantly surprised to see that the White House takes these sanctions seriously, that it was not just a political move or a gesture, to satisfy allies, let's say, in the European Union, but that they actually control the implementation process, and this looks good, at least now. And there is a question that I often get on the channel too. Is there something that can save Russia's economy, that can help them recover without ending this war? Is it realistic?
No, without stopping the war, I don't understand any exit, any good decision for Russian economy, because I am sure there is no such decision. Because now Russian economy is a situation of so-called stagflation. The Russian officials reject, but it's obvious that economy is stagflation. This is when we do have the high level of inflation and low level or minus even in economical growth in GDP. Now this is the exact situation for Russian economy. So if they, for example, rise, sorry for maybe some academical indicators, rise the rate of interest, basic, yes? Miss Nabiulina rise this in order to stop inflation. This will press more the production activity and manufacturing in Russia. Because now we do have the barrier. There are a lot of printed money in Russian economy. The temp and intensity of printing is enormous now in Russian economy. Because they print money, it's in order to pay if to be clear and very too simple to explain, to pay for this for defense and for military expenses. But enterprise can get this money as a credit in order for operational activity, in order to organize production process, because the price of this money is very high. For example, yearly at more than 20%. And they cannot pay back such a very high price of this money. And also they can sell, it's hardly can sell these products because the purchasing capacity of population is diminishing. They can produce and not sell these products. That's why we have this shortage and decreasing of production in Russia Federation. And how to act for Russian economies? If they diminish this interest rate and make the price of money cheaper, then it will push the inflation further. Now we have so-called galloping, like a horse, galloping inflation. Yes? Yeah. It's about 2 or 3% for the month. But it's very dangerous to be in this position for economy. It's a very easy way to make to the hyperinflation. It is, for example, 5% But hyperinflation destroys the economy completely. So I cannot see the good decision for economy which are in war now. Only can be one way. It's to have some macroeconomic aid, transfer aid. And there is only one country which can provide Russia with this aid. This is a China. But I don't know historical precedents when China gives somebody such money. Or he can give, for example, this, but the price of this will be enormous. They should to sell all the Siberia to the China in order to get. Sorry, it's maybe some examples there, some allegory. Yes, to get it. But we must understand for Ukrainian is situation another. We are also in the war, but we do have partnership and macroeconomic aid from our partners. This is a very big difference between Ukrainian current position situation and Russia. Ukrainian economy is smaller. So the GDP is 180 billion, in Russia is 2 trillion, like something 10 times difference. But the resilience of Ukrainian economy is much more bigger because we have constant foreign aid. Russia do not have such aid. So in the timeline, in the future, the time play against Russia economy more than against Ukrainian economy. So the sustainability of Ukrainian economy, in this model, when we have two sources of financing, is much more stronger than Russian. So it's about the way, yes, but I don't believe that China will agree to give such transfer.
Neither do I. In this world of predators and all these authoritarian regimes are predators, there are no real friendship, no real partnership. And that's why, again, I want to thank all the people watching us that push your governments to support Ukraine, to help us defeat Russia and also to restore the international law. Because, let's be honest, this war is not about Ukrainian territories. It's about the law, order, international agreements, and our task is to save it all, because otherwise that's a very dangerous precedent for other countries living next to similar authoritarian regimes, for example, China. That's why my final question is closely connected with this, 21st century wars. Can we say that Russia's example, how they literally destroyed their own country, their own economy way faster than they wanted to destroy Ukraine? So can this failed blitzkrieg, this overestimated expectations, and literally collapsing Russia's economy, exposed Kremlin's vulnerability, teach a lesson to other authoritarian countries that considered something similar but may change their opinion about wars in the 21st century because we turned out to be resilient and united?
Yeah, this is unique lessons in Ukraine, starting from the model of the war and the inventory ability of and adaptability of Ukrainian people, which now produce the weapon, very modern weapon. So, and as I know, it's, in the future we should export more, even export products and produce for our soldier, for our army. And also the lesson of Ukrainian resistance, Ukrainian resilience and resilience of economy of Ukraine, and the factor of destroying of Russia economy. We must understand, Russia would like to destroy Ukrainian manufacturing and industry with a missile strike, with the air raid constant now, to strike Ukraine energy system. But now, of course, we have outage of the electricity, but our economic work. It's very difficult task to destroy economy when this economy has high adaptability for the war period. Yes. And for any aggressor in the future, if I am correctly understand your question, yes, this is the lesson. The globalization and the ability of countries to cooperate gives the impact for prosperity of every countries. If you are isolated, you are in the poverty and the level standard of life, like in North Korea. It's huge standard of life. Russia has had better standard of life before the war. Now the standard is diminishing dramatically because before they can benefit from the globalization, from the free trade. Let's say that this Russia is something like petrol station. That's the correct for the economy. but they sell for the good price of this product, and they can support the standard of life, the technical modernization, to develop the domestical production. If you are aggressor and you faced with a good reaction and proper reaction from another country, your economy became isolated. Even if Russia is now trade condition and rising trade condition with China. But if you are isolated, this will be the very severe and not good and very bad impact for your economy. This is for every aggression. Even if now China, which produce a lot of product and is maybe is very self-sufficient, would, for example, start some aggression policy, and this also will reflect on the China economy, because the volume of trade of China and the European Union more than $500 billion. The trade with the United States also. I cannot say that it's a very good idea of Trump to make this barrier, high barrier. Yeah, it may be like, yes, but we hope that they will have agreement between each other. But China will lose a lot if there will be problem is with China trade and cooperation with European Union and the United States, because the balance of the trade is in the favor of the China. So the China export more and import less from the European Union. So any aggressor, if he will start the war, he will have the bad results for at minimum for the economy. This is the second lesson. To conduct the war in global world, this is the process which involved all the party, and this not will be without reaction. I may say also some remark. So historically, if Russia attacked Ukraine, he would like to do it in darkness, in silence, without any information. Yes. When in Ukraine there is no inner conflict between different people, when there is civilian war in Ukraine, now everything is another. Ukraine have constitution, yes, have president, has the parliament, has unity. Of course, there are hard discussions. If there will be election in Ukrainian, we know Ukrainian people, it will be very big discussion. Yes, but there is constitutional order now in Ukraine. And every world is involved, most majority of developed country is involved in our war. There are a lot of information. The war is strictly transparent. So the combination of this factor makes the position for Russia a bad position, which it's impossible for them to win the Ukraine now. And so this is a lesson also for the future big aggressor. It's better to cooperate and benefit from the cooperation, from the globalization, to prosper and to discover the space, so-called.
Yes, this is the war of the 21st century, and to analyze it, you need to analyze it from the perspective of the 21st century. Unfortunately, I see that many people still think, in the standards of the Second World War. But to defeat Russia, you don't need to occupy its vast territory. It's enough to destroy their war budget, to destroy their economy, and then observe the collapse of the Russian Federation, because that's exactly what always fuels problems and collapses on the territory of the Russian Empire, the USSR, the Russian Federation.
Nobody is interested in intervention in Russia. They have immense territory. Please put into consideration your territory and make this territory prosperous. No, but we are standing for our motherland, for our land.
Thank you so much, Volodymyr, for this very optimistic conversation about the pessimistic Russian economy that I'm sure will trigger their collapse. I enjoy reading your articles, and I'm super grateful for the research that you're doing to make it more visible and understandable for a vast audience. And I hope you enjoyed this conversation too, our dear viewers. And thank you once again for joining us. Thank you.
Thanks you. It was very nice to communicate with you and your auditorium. Thanks. See you.
Thank you so much.